Hello, my name's Kevin Hogan. I'm a Senior Lecturer in Counselling and Psychotherapy at Newman University, and I'm the Programme Lead for the Counselling Studies and Working with Children, Young People and Families degree. So in this presentation, I'm going to talk to you a bit about the programmes that we offer here at Newman, so in particular Counselling Studies. The subject of this presentation will be Counselling Studies and Working with Children, Young People and Families degree. So we offer this degree full-time, so the 3 years, or part-time over 4.5 years. We also offer this degree with a foundation year, so that's over 4 years full-time. From September 21, we're hoping to be offering a counselling, mental health and wellbeing degree. So that's subject to validation. So we're currently putting that degree together and subject to getting approval for that. We hope to be running that degree in September 21. So the Counselling Studies and Working with Children, Young People and Families, what we refer to as combined honours degree. So that means you'd be studying counselling studies combined with working with children, young people and families. So studying 2 separate subject areas. The counselling, mental health and wellbeing degree would be what we refer to as a single honours degree. So the focus of that degree would purely be on counselling, mental health and wellbeing. It would be a degree specifically in that subject area. Those of you who may be interested in becoming psychologists, there's the option of taking a psychology and counselling studies degree. That programme is offered full-time over 3 years. It's also offered with a foundation degree, which is 4 years full-time. The advantage of the psychology and counselling studies degree is that you would graduate with an accredited psychology degree, which means that you'd be in a position to apply for postgraduate study to become a psychologist, and you'd also be gaining insight into counselling studies, so learning about core counselling skills and counselling theories. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a little bit about what's special about counselling studies here at Newman University. So the Counselling Studies programme, students study a core module, a module on each of the 3 main counselling approaches that are used in the UK. So in the first year, you'll be doing a module on what we refer to as humanistic counselling skills. Humanistic counselling is one of the main modalities that's used in the UK, alongside psychodynamic counselling, which you'll also study in the first year. And in the second year of the degree, you will do a module on cognitive behavioural therapy. So those are the 3 main modalities that are used in the UK, 3 main counselling approaches, and you'd be studying a module on each of those 3 approaches. So the aim there is to have a think about ways in which they're similar, ways in which they're different, and also to have a think about which approach you prefer, which one works for you, which of these 3 approaches, or more than one, might you use in helping you to support other people. Another unique aspect of the Counselling Studies degree is that there's a focus on not just learning about counselling theory and skills, but also personal development. So in order to be an effective listener, somebody who is able to listen to other people, interact with other people, and support other people, we need to be self-aware. So we need to have a think about what stops us from being able to listen to other people. What sorts of things might be getting in the way of our ability to hear what somebody's saying? Are we nervous? Are we trying too hard? Are we distracted by something that's happened last night, next week, something that we might be worried about? Those are all the sorts of things that can stop us from being an effective listener. So it's a key focus on developing ourselves on the counselling programme. So thinking about counselling theories in relation to ourselves, what we've learnt about ourselves, learnt about other people, These are all key elements to being an effective counsellor. Students who undertake the Counselling Studies degree will be in a strong position to apply for postgraduate training as a counsellor or psychotherapist, and some of the students who complete the Counselling Studies and Working with Children, Young People and Families degree go on to do our postgraduate qualification in psychotherapy and counselling here at Newman University. So whilst this degree won't qualify you as a professional counsellor in itself, it will put you in a strong position to apply for professional counselling or psychotherapy training either here or at another institution. In the second year of the degree, there is a work-based placement. So that's an opportunity for you to gain some practical experience. So in order to further your ability to get a graduate level job on completion of this degree, you ideally would be in a position where you have academic qualification and work-based experience. So the aim of the work placement is to fulfill that role. But also be thinking about the application of what you've learned on the degree so far to practice. So how do these counselling skills and theories that you're learning about as part of your degree, how do they apply in workplace settings? So whilst that work placement won't be you acting as a counsellor, you have the opportunity to be in supportive roles, so working alongside mental health professionals, supporting them in supporting other people. Small cohorts, so typically class sizes would be a maximum of around 50 students. That would be on the core modules where all psychology working with students are combined. Typically, we'd also have smaller breakout groups, so tutorial groups or seminar groups, where it'd probably be about 15 students. So getting to know other people on the course, your fellow students, your name, not a number. So as in true counselling style, it's important that we get to know you and you get to know us. So building up a rapport, and one of the ways that we do that is through personal tutors. So all students are allocated a personal tutor when they start the degree, and it's recommended that you meet with your personal tutor at least twice per academic year. So to discuss how the program's going, how you're finding your studies, and any concerns or questions that you may have. Okay, so the aims of the course. Key aim is to negotiate the relationship between academic theory and workplace settings. So you learn about counselling theory, so what we know about psychological distress, what typically causes psychological distress, and how can we help somebody who's experiencing psychological distress. So there's lots of theory, there's lots of evidence, lots of research that we look at. But we also need to have a think about how does that apply to practice. So the best way to learn counselling theory is through practicing skills. So a key focus on the modules is to practice counselling skills with your fellow students and to get some feedback on your performance from the tutors. So it's thinking about the application of theory to workplace settings. What does this theory look like when we apply it, when we're working with people? We're also interested in research. So being able to plan, execute and design research that's related to counselling and working with children, young people and families is an important part of this degree. So it may be upon successful completion of this degree that you go into a workplace setting where they'd like you to conduct some research and see how effective something is. So equipping you with the skills, knowledge to carry out research. So to explore ways in which we can measure psychological distress, how can we see if something's working, as well as asking people for their opinions. So conducting interviews, asking people to fill in surveys so we can get some feedback on and what we do, find out whether something's working well. So as I mentioned, there's various different counselling approaches, and we have a think about those approaches in relation to different personal and cultural values. So that might be thinking about, how does this theory relate to the person that we're working with? Their unique family, culture, religious, non-religious, beliefs, expectations. How does all of this fit with that unique person? So key to working successfully is to tailor what we do to the individual that we're working with. So there's no one counselling approach that works for everybody. We need to have a think about how we can tailor what we do to the individual. We also want to promote anti-discriminatory practice. So making sure that we empower the person we're working with. So sometimes a temptation when somebody's feeling upset or distressed, it can be that we want to tell them what to do, give them the answers, suggest what we do. But often that doesn't help the person because they don't get an opportunity to make a decision for themselves. We do it for them. So key to being anti-discriminatory is empowering the individual that we're working with to make decisions for themselves. Okay, so vision for our graduates, having knowledge of key concepts and theories within counselling, within working with children and people and families. So what do we know works? How can we make sure that we effectively and safely support individuals in an appropriate way? Being able to look for evidence, so not just saying or doing something in the hope that it will help somebody, but having to think about what's the evidence to suggest that this theory that I'm about to use or this counselling skill might be effective. So we're trying to think about what's the rationale for the decisions and the interventions that we make. So develop graduates who are professional, able to make ethical decisions and are able to weigh up arguments so can make critical decisions. Okay, so modules that you'll study as part of the Counselling Studies and Working with Children, Young People and Families degree. These are the modules that you'll study in the first year. So I mentioned previously a humanistic counselling, so that's one of the core approaches used in the UK. You'll be studying that in the first year alongside psychodynamic counselling, again another of the key approaches used to counselling in the UK. There's also a module on counselling professionals and academic practice. So that's about developing your academic writing skills, looking and finding research and evidence to support the essays and arguments that you make. So the majority of modules in the first year are very applied, looking at the application of theory to practice. What do we know? How can we use this knowledge to further develop our ability to help other people? In the second year, there's an option to choose to do a research module in either counselling studies or working with children, young people and families element of your degree. In addition, you will be studying a module on CBT, cognitive behaviour therapy, so the third of the main counselling approaches in the UK, and there's the placement, so an opportunity to gain some valuable experience out in the workplace where you can apply some of your knowledge from your degree and use that to further develop your ability to work with others. It's also an introductory counselling skills module, so to begin to further develop your counselling skills, that's a whole module committed specifically to developing your ability to listen to, hear and work with individuals who are experiencing psychological distress. Finally, in the third year, there are module choices. So depending on what you would like to go into on completion of your degree, or if you have a particular interest, there are a range of modules that you can select from. So you can have a look through those modules. There's further information about each of those on the website. And in the final year, there's an opportunity to do a dissertation. So that's a year-long piece of research that you can conduct with the support of your supervisor on an area that's of interest to you. Alternatively, there's what we refer to as a literature-based research project. So rather than conducting research with people, it may be that you research what we already know. So look at all the literature, all the evidence, all the research that's been conducted on a topic so far, and pull it together into one project. Okay, there's also an opportunity to do further placement research as part of the final year dissertation. Okay, so what will teaching be like? There'll be approximately 9 hours of contact per week. So usually students are in 3 to 4 days per week. In addition, there is an expectation for independent study. So most modules require approximately 164 hours of independent study. So that might be reading, watching videos, rehearsing what you've learnt, in addition to that contact time. So approximately 492 hours of independent study per semester. Okay, so teaching style, it's an active teaching style, so we try to encourage you to have a think about how what you're learning, what we're teaching you applies to practice. So what do you think of these ideas, these theories, and to practice some of those counselling skills. Assessment methods. The course is assessed using a variety of methods of assessments, including essays, report writing, learning statements, case studies, and exams. So students often panic and worry about exams. So sometimes the best way to face that fear or overcome it is to face it head on. So don't be put off. Lots of support, lots of encouragement and guidance on all of those methods of assessment. Okay, so in terms of the support, Newman prides itself on the support that we provide. So support is available from academic and pastoral supports. All of the students are allocated a personal tutor within a counselling studies degree. It's a counselling studies team who you'll meet with, as I mentioned earlier, at least twice per academic year. There's also support on employability and careers, and the library offer a vast majority and a range of support workshops. Okay, so these are some of the quotes that we've received from students who've enjoyed the programme, what they've said. So in terms of what you can do upon successful completion of your degree, well, there's an option to do further study. So I mentioned previously that there's a postgraduate training in counselling and psychotherapy. So there's a master's degree. That is an accredited program, so it would lead you to become a professional counsellor or psychotherapist. Those of you who may develop an interest in research, there's an opportunity to do an MRes, a Masters by Research. As information about that on the website, about both of those programs. In terms of careers, so students who've studied counselling studies and work with children and people in the family, young people and families in the past, have gone into a broad range of careers. So youth work, teaching, social work, any careers working with people. This is a really useful degree because you're developing communication and interaction skills. Okay, so contact details. If you do have any questions or anything that you'd like more information about, please do send an email on the email address there. That's my telephone number and extension. So further useful information, there are contact details of accommodation, admissions, student support and student finance. So thanks very much for listening. Hope you've enjoyed this presentation.